All right, let's get right into it. Welcome to this explainer where we're going to unpack a truly fascinating briefing. Imagine you have an investigative journalist, a constitutional lawyer, and a master open source intelligence expert, Paul Miller from Bay Canine, all sitting at a table together. Their ultimate goal? To show us exactly how to extract hidden digital evidence and build bulletproof formal legal reports to uncover fraudulent canine rescue operations. It's this brilliant collision of high-level legal strategy and granular digital forensics, and we're going to walk through their entire playbook right now.
Here's our roadmap for the briefing today. We'll start with a forensic framework, move into digital paper trails, check out data extraction tools, walk through the 6-phase archival workflow, and finally, wrap up with building the legal report.
First up, Section 1, the Forensic Investigation Framework, Beyond Emotional Assessment.
Okay, so when we see a distressed animal online, our natural human reaction is pure emotion, right? But emotional reactions don't hold up in court. To actually stop fraudulent rescue operations, the constitutional lawyer and Paul Miller make it clear that we have to pivot from emotion to structured, evidence-based forensic auditing. Treat it literally like a financial crime scene. And depending on who you're reporting to, you need entirely different documentation. Take a look at the multi-agency perspective matrix. If you're going to the USDA, they care about transport compliance and commercial breeding, so you need import/export logs and vet certificates. But if you take that exact same case to the FBI or the IRS, they're looking at 501c3 tax fraud and money laundering. They don't want the vet logs, they want the IRS Form 990 and the wire transaction history. You absolutely have to know your audience before you start scraping data.
The executive legal and investigative framework conceptually anchors the official dossier format. The crucial point here is that capturing a true pattern of deception requires synthesizing all of these diverse, multi-agency priorities. You aren't just looking for one smoking gun. It's like building a massive mosaic of evidence that satisfies local police, federal tax agents, and agricultural departments all at the same time.
During the briefing, the investigative journalist asked Paul Miller a really great question. With all this data, how do you use AI to help sort it without the AI just making things up? Paul's answer is what he calls the investigative prompting suite. You have to use strict role-playing constraints. By forcing the AI to act as a forensic auditor specializing in nonprofit law and explicitly commanding it to base findings only on provided financial documents and verified tax filings without speculating, you completely eliminate AI hallucination. It's a real game changer for safely analyzing massive case files.
Moving on to Section 2, the digital paper trail, cross-referencing and validation.
Before we unleash the heavy-duty data extraction tools, we have to find the red flags, right? We need to validate our targets. So how do we spot that initial deception? Well, you start with a reverse image audit. Are those rescue photos actually from a stock site, or worse, a deceased animal database? Then you run financial sentiment analysis, comparing those desperate, urgent medical funds needed posts with the actual outcome transparency. If they raise $10,000 but never post a follow-up photo or a vet invoice, that is a massive red flag. But perhaps the absolute most critical indicator of potential fraud? The veterinary verification check. If an organization outright refuses to allow you to call their listed veterinarian directly to verify an account, you know for sure you have a major problem on your hands.
All right, Section 3, data extraction tools, methodologies, and trade-offs. So the constitutional lawyer brings up a huge technical challenge. How do we actually gather this evidence from massive Facebook groups when platforms have such aggressive anti-scraping measures? You generally have two paths. On one side, you have no-code scraping tools like Apify or Phantom Buster. These are your fastest method. They require minimal technical knowledge and can spit out CSV or JSON files super quickly. On the flip side, you have custom scripts using browser automation tools like Playwright or Selenium, often paired with Python. Facebook relies heavily on dynamic JavaScript, meaning the page literally loads as you scroll. Custom scripts give you complete control to navigate that dynamic environment, but they definitely require serious programming chops.
But here's the counter-argument, and we really need to debate this. Aggressive data scraping violates Facebook's terms of service. Paul Miller is incredibly clear with his warning here. If you just unleash a bot, you'll trigger security systems instantly, risking permanent account bans. To avoid losing all your access, you have to implement crucial safety constraints. Your automated scripts must simulate human delays, waiting 2 to 10 seconds before clicking or scrolling. You have to use rotating residential proxies to mask your infrastructure, but paradoxically, you must maintain single IP session stability for your logged-in account, or the platform will flag you immediately. It is a very, very delicate technical dance.
Which brings us to Section 4, the 6-phase archival workflow, a tried and tested method.
Now we are getting into the highly technical core of the briefing. The journalist references this official protocol document.
Paul Miller's method to securely capture and preserve forensic data without losing a single pixel. Because traditional scraping often fails on infinite scroll pages, this method uses a hybrid approach. It combines document object model, or DOM, manipulation, automated scroll emulation, and vector PDF rendering. It's essentially hacking the browser's display engine to force it to show us everything at once.
Paul meticulously lays out the first 3 phases. Step 1, configure an auto-scroll extension, but you override its limits by dropping in a massive integer value like 100 billion to bypass the built-in delay throttles. Step 2, you batch process. Actually, scratch that. If you try to load the whole page at once, your memory bloats and the tab crashes. So, you restrict your workspace to 100 to 200 posts chronologically, manually expanding all those hidden See More text nodes. And step 3, and this is honestly the genius part, headless CSS emulation. You open Chrome Developer Tools, emulate print media, and permanently purge the visual noise, deleting fixed headers from the code so your final document is pristine.
Then we hit the final 3 phases. Step 4, you generate a vector PDF. You set margins to none to eliminate clipping, and set the custom scale precisely to 75 to maximize horizontal data alignment. This ensures all that extracted text remains perfectly searchable. Step 5 is deep thread isolation. For those massive nested comment sections, you isolate the post's unique identifier into a new tab and use an extension like GoFullPage to stitch a long-form thread layout together. Finally, step 6, final asset consolidation. You take all these fragmented batches and deep threads, arrange them chronologically, and merge the whole shebang in Adobe Acrobat into one master archival PDF.
Finally, Section 5, building the legal report, synthesizing the data.
So, zooming out for a second, how do we actually take these fragmented, highly technical PDFs and integrate them into a formal legal dossier that a prosecutor or an agency will actually read? The constitutional lawyer explains that you organize it into the 4 pillars of the capacity for care legal framework. You map your scraped data directly to these categories. The dog contains your scraped veterinary records and arrival health statuses. The owner tracks leadership transparency and compliance with solicitation laws. This is where your financial sentiment analysis goes. The facility documents housing conditions and overcrowding. And finally, the consequence, the legal ledger. This is where you document all the financial, criminal, or regulatory breaches you've uncovered, mapping directly back to that multi-agency matrix we discussed earlier.
This official framework document acts as your definitive roadmap. Now, the lawyer gives a very strict reminder at this stage, and it's absolutely crucial. This matrix organizes the investigation beautifully, but it is a tool for analysis, not a substitute for formal legal representation. You must always consult with local legal counsel before submitting these findings to authorities.
Bridging that massive gap between raw data scraping and real-world legal accountability is no small feat. But this framework provides the exact blueprint to do it. It's a masterclass in turning digital noise into undeniable legal proof. So I leave you with this final, provocative thought. How will you apply this forensic methodology to uncover hidden digital truths in your next investigation? The tools are out there. It's just a matter of how rigorously we apply them. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.